What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we're drinking beer, and today we're doing a pick'em episode, our second one. We're coming off a pretty rough week last week. We went 2-3-1. Honestly, bullshit point taken. It should be 3-3, but bad picks either way. Tyson Pedro had the shits the night before. That fucked me, and it was a rough night. So we're 2-3-1 on the year for the pick'em episodes. Today, whenever you're watching, we're doing another one. We're going to try to make you the money back that we lost you from last week and make me back that money too. So what we got for you, Bare Knuckle, KNUCKLEMANIA 3 coming up this Friday, February 17th. We'll give you some picks on that, hopefully make you a little bit of dough, and then make you some even more money with UFC Fight Night, Andrade versus Blanchfield. But first, the beer of the day. We're not going with anything new. We're just drinking a sunny little thing. It's been on the show before. It's a nice, just calm beer, and I didn't have time to get out to get more. I didn't realize I was out of new beers. Man, that thing's good. I don't know what I gave it last time, but probably an 8.3. I don't know. That's what I'm giving it now. Contradicting myself, I'm sure. We'll run it back, and I probably gave it like a 6.5, like a fucking maniac. I don't know. Let's jump into these fights, though. So, UFC Fight Night, Andrade versus Blanchfield. That's the main event, and we'll get into that in a second. But we're going to kick things off with Ovent St. Preux, UFC vet, taking on another vet, and Felipe Lins. St. Preux's coming in as a plus 175 dog to Lins being minus 205. And if you look back at the past few fights, OSP has not looked good. St. Preux's not looked real sharp in his last few bouts. So that's got me rolling with Lins. Lins is older too, but he's more focused on... He's more focused on the jiu-jitsu and trying to land the big shots on you, whereas St. Preux still tries to use his movement, and it's just not working for him anymore. So we're rolling with Lins at minus 205 on that one. Next fight we're going to be picking is Jim Miller. He's taking on Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez took this fight on short notice about a week ago. He agreed to the bout. And Jim Miller, he's been on a roll. He's coming in as a dog in this one at plus 190. Hernandez took it short notice. They're giving him minus 225. And like I said, Miller's been on a roll. He's been knocking out these people he's been fighting. But the people he's been fighting, it's been their UFC debut. Hernandez has been around the block a few times. He's durable. Sometimes he gets a little overzealous, gets gassed. But I'm rolling with Hernandez at minus 225. I don't see Jim Miller getting another one-punch knockout on this guy, too. Oh, I'm out of breath. All right. Next fight we got up, William Knight. He's taking on Marcin Prachnio. I'm picking Prachnio in this. Prachnio is minus 105 to Knight's 115. So it's basically a pick 'em. Prachnio, the slight dog, but we got to roll with him. William Knight just seems to gas out in all of his fights anymore. He's an explosive fighter, but if he doesn't catch you early, he's not catching you at all. And in the UFC, you just can't bank on that when your striking isn't top level like his is not top level at this point. So we're rolling with Prachnio because William Knight's gas tank's just not there. Moving on, we got Josh Parisian, UFC mainstay. A lot of losses, but it's okay. He's taking on Jamal Pogues. Both these guys, I believe, are Dana White Contender Series alumni. Pogues coming in as a big favorite. He's minus 245 to Parisian's plus 205. And those odds have really swelled throughout the week. It was plus 180 earlier, just a few days ago. I got Pogues in this one. He's really explosive. And it just seems like Parisian, the UFC, has been using him as a stepping stone. He's had a rough go of things. I think he's like 1-5 in the UFC, or 1-6. Just not having a good time. Not to say he's not putting on good fights. He's just not getting the job done. He doesn't seem to quite be on that level. And I think Pogues is, like I said, explosive. He's just, the UFC wants to build him more than they want to build Parisian, I'm sure. All right. We got 3 fights left on the UFC card. Bear with us here. We got AJ Fletcher taking on UFC newcomer Themba Gorimba. You heard that right. Themba Gorimba. Fletcher coming in as a minus 265 favorite to Gorimba's 225 dog status. I got to go with Fletcher. What I saw from him on the Dana White Contender Series, he's got great striking. He's real explosive. Using that word a lot today because that's what this card is full of, explosive-ass fighters. And he's got really strong wrestling, too. He's just a real strong guy in there. And Themba Gorimba, he's making his UFC debut, but I've watched some film of him over in EFC, the South African Fighting League. Hasn't looked great. It seems like he has trouble with guys that are real explosive that want to move in and out real fast and real strong wrestlers like Fletcher. So I got to go with Fletcher at minus 265. We're picking a lot of favorites here tonight, but I promise we got a good dog for you coming up. And that dog is Jordan Wright coming in as a plus 230 dog against Zach Pauga. Pauga, minus 275. This is his second UFC fight. First that's not involved in the Ultimate Fighter. He took a loss to Muhammad Usman, brother of Kamaru Usman, in the finals there. He's a really good fighter. I think he's a former NFL player, was on some practice squads. But Zach Wright, another super explosive guy. That's the name of the game today. But this guy comes out, just shot out of a cannon. First minute is hell with him. Really first 3 minutes. If he doesn't get you out of there, and then he's usually gassed out and he gets taken out before the end of the first round. So it's really a coin flip with him. But at plus 230, taking on a guy that doesn't have a ton of UFC experience yet, I think he's going to overwhelm him. I think he's going to bury the guy. Risky bet, though, because if he gasses out, if Pauga weathers the storm, then that's that, because everybody knows the game plan with Jordan Wright. But we'll have to see. I'm rolling with the dog. Hopefully it pays off. And then finally, for that UFC card, the main event, the one that we've all kind of been a little interested in, not all waiting for, though. Jessica Andrade taking on Erin Blanchfield. Andrade, minus 135, Blanchfield, plus 115. And Blanchfield's a beast. She's been running through people. She's a dog, don't get me wrong. But Andrade, there's levels to this shit. And she's the best women's fighter that hasn't been she's been a champ, but that's not a champ. Or hasn't just lost her belt. If there wasn't a Shevchenko, she'd be the 125 champ. If there wasn't a Rose and Zhang Wei Li, she'd be the 115 champ. I mean, honestly, maybe without Amanda Nunes, without her, maybe she would be the 135 champ. She's just a really freaking strong, really skilled, great jiu-jitsu, knockout power, and it carries over from weight class to weight class. Until I see Blanchfield beat somebody of Andrade's caliber, I don't think she's cracking that top 3 that Andrade is in just about every division. So you got to go with Andrade at minus 135 in that one. And then if you parlay all 7 of those picks together, you're going to come out with like plus 450 or 4,500 odds. Comes out $5, makes you 233. Throw it down. What you got to lose? It'll make our money back from last week if we go 7-0, baby. And then BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fight Club. It's not on DraftKings yet, but the odds are supposed to go live Friday night, when the fights go. So we got 4 picks for you here. 4 UFC vets that we're going to be examining their fights. First one is Greg Hardy, former UFC fighter, former NFL defensive lineman. He's taking on Josh Watson, comes in as a huge favorite at minus 360. In the UFC, he was known for big shots, knockout power, carried it over to boxing, real heavy striker, huge guy, like over 300 pounds. Josh Watson, he's 1-1 in BKFC. I don't see him taking Greg Hardy's best punch because most of the best in the UFC couldn't. I don't see him doing that without any gloves on. Then we have John Dodson, minus 200. He's taking on plus 170 dog. And Grant, I don't know his first name, I forget it, but he's taking on a plus 170 dog, and you got to roll with Dodson in this. In his first BKFC match, he gets a first-round knockout, takes a break from BKFC, goes over to Japan, fights for Ryzen, another first-round knockout. He's been on a roll. He's 3 or 4-0 in his last couple bouts. He's been tearing it up, and BKFC really favors his style of fighting. Just heavy shots, heavy quick shots. Next, we have Diego the Nightmare Sanchez. He's taking on Austin Trout. Sanchez comes in as a huge dog, plus 550. Trout, minus 800. Sanchez, I think BKFC, I think it's good for his style, but I just can't see him winning. I don't think that he's got the knockout power. I don't think his chin's not gone. I just don't think he's going to be able to deal with that kind of damage. I think his face is going to be torn up by the end of it pretty bad. And then I don't think either of these guys are actually UFC vets, but this is the main event, so we got to talk about it. Mark Richman, Lorenzo Hunt. Lorenzo Hunt, the light heavyweight champion, BKFC, minus 200 favorite. And I think he's 7-0, taking on Richman, who's like 4 or 5 or 6-0. They're both just dogs in BKFC. Richman plus 185 dog. I'm rolling with him. I've been watching tape on him. He seems really explosive, really skilled, and he can really take a shot. Hunt is too. He's fast. He hits hard. I think Richman is going to wear him down, kind of gas him out, use his durability. He seems like he can really, really eat punches. So we'll have to wait and see. But plus 185, that's my dog for the BKFC, Mark Richman. That's all we have for you for the pick'em. Hopefully we make you some more money. Hopefully we're not fucking 2-10 next week on our UFC picks. But you never know. It's for fun. We're losing all our money here on Blood and Beer Pick'em episodes. So this has been our second one. This is my 50th episode of Blood and Beer. So thank you for everybody who's been with me from the beginning, everybody that's just joining in now. I really appreciate all the support I've been receiving. And this has been a lot of fun, so we're going to keep it going.